Hey everyone, ATP here and welcome to GameLeap. It is going to be my job in this video to give you a basic guide on how to play Ana in the Overwatch 2 ranked ladder. If you're looking to main this hero and you want to know more info about her and how to manage her cooldowns and positioning, then you better listen up. Let's begin with a basic rundown of the character, starting with what has changed since the beginning of Overwatch 2. We have the following. Let's begin with the regenerating health support role passive. While every support hero in the game has access to it, Ana especially benefits from it, as she never really had any sort of way to consistently regenerate her health during the Overwatch 1 era. Ana mains finally have a way to survive on their own, which makes her especially good here in Overwatch 2. The next noteworthy thing is that her ammo has gone from 12 to 15, which means that you're going to get even more shots off, which makes you an even more effective healer compared to the previous game. Let's take a look into how her abilities have changed. First up, we have her Sleep Dart, which has seen its cooldown increased from 12 seconds to 15 seconds. And when you combine that with the fact that Ana's Sleep Dart is one of the only hard crowd control abilities left in the game, managing this cooldown correctly is now more important than it ever has been before. We'll talk more about that later. In the meantime, that does it for all of Ana's significant changes, so let's take a look at some of the neat tips and tricks that you should be looking to implement into your Ana gameplay. Let's start with her weapon, the Biotic Rifle. And this works differently depending on how you use it. When you shoot scoped in, it acts as a hit scan, meaning that your shot is going to register immediately, and this is great for a couple of reasons. One, you can heal your teammates a little faster than you would if you were totally scoped out all the time. And that's great because that means less people are going to be yelling at you, begging for heals. You're going to be everyone's best friend. But two, it's going to make it so you can position yourself in a safe place while still effectively healing everybody around you. Shooting while scoped in can be a very powerful tool, but if you're scoped out, your shots are going to act as a projectile, meaning that they will not immediately hit whoever you shoot. Healing and shooting enemies unscoped is also a very effective thing, and you definitely want to alternate between both, as unscoped shooting makes it easier to heal during close ranged combat. You're going to have a better field of view overall compared to when you're scoped in, and you won't suffer from any movement penalties, which means that strafing, especially with your small hitbox, is especially effective, so you absolutely want to master unscoped shooting as well. To maximize your effectiveness with Ana, it's important to switch between both. Don't focus on one or the other. A good balance is what's going to help you output the best healing rate while keeping yourself alive and keeping you aware of your surroundings. Oh, and don't be afraid to get aggressive and do some damage with that rifle of yours. Healing is obviously your main priority as Ana, but something that makes top Anas so much better than the average Ana player is that ability to make plays happen themselves. If you see someone out in the open or in the sky, hit them with a few shots. It honestly could be the difference between winning and losing a fight. Maximize your effectiveness. The ranked ladder is a brutal place, especially in solo queue. Don't be afraid to fend for yourself once in a while. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. Tunnel visioning on just healing can only have you miss a lot of those great opportunities that'll let you rank up. If you found this guide helpful and you enjoy our content, it would mean so much if you could give this video a big fat thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and be sure to enable those notifications so you don't miss out on the next guide video. You didn't hear it from me, but I've heard that if you do all of those things, you'll get good luck in your next ranked game. Next we have Ana's cooldowns, which are some of the biggest game changers in this entire hero pool. First is her Biotic Grenade. This ability has multiple effects in one. First is the crazy healing ability. On impact, this deals 100 healing to your teammates, and for a short duration, they will receive 50% more healing. So not only does it help keep your unreliable teammates alive, but it could also help your unreliable support partner be more effective. Comboing this with things like Lucio's Amp and Zen's Transcendence can be a nice way to keep your team super healthy during a big fight. But also, and arguably more importantly, is that this works as an anti-heal when you manage to hit the enemy. And with heals being a fundamental part of this game, cutting off that heal for even a second could be the thing that turns the fight for you. This ability is on a 10-second cooldown, so using it wisely is crucial. And one mistake commonly made by lower rated Ana players is that they either throw the nade out for just about anything, or they only focus on its healing properties when they could be using it offensively. Don't get me wrong, there's absolutely no problem with healing a few low teammates with it during a fight, but if you just throw it out in a panic for no reason or in unnecessary situations, I will personally find you and give you a slap on the wrist. Don't make me get angry. Anyway, don't underutilize this important ability. If healing is the right call, then go for it, but don't be afraid to make some plays. So Support players oftentimes underestimate themselves. You gotta look to throw that Bionade at enemies at times. Use it on a Winston or Doomfist diving right at you. Throw it at an enemy DPS trying to dive you. Combo it with Zarya's Graviton Surge on your team. Or better yet, throw it at the feet of enemies to try and disrupt Zenyatta's Transcendence. You can make a huge difference and completely throw off the flow of the enemy team. And don't forget, you could always use Ana's nade defensively. Throw it at yourself if it means you get to survive. You are very important. Or try to throw it at those pesky divers if you're forced to fend for yourself in a 1v1. Biotic Grenade deals 60 damage. Like, that is no joke. It can be the difference between killing the enemy Genji and watching him annihilate your whole team. Don't be afraid to use Biotic Grenade aggressively. This ability really is a game changer. Next we have Ana's Sleep Dart, and this is easily one of the strongest abilities in this whole game. It's pretty much the only hard crowd control on cooldown that is left. With that said, finding hits on it somewhat consistently is going to help you climb in the long run. Take some time to get the flicks down, but you gotta keep working at it. It's so important. It's worth practicing, whether it be in the practice range or in a custom game. You gotta get it down, as it'll help you climb the ladder for sure. I'm speaking from experience here. You don't just want to spam it off cooldown, alright? Don't be dumb. I know how tempting it is to hit those 6 sleeps for your 5-minute montage, but trust me, it is not worth it. You have to stay disciplined. Even low-rated players are going to understand that you are a sitting duck once you use Sleep Dart. And guess what? They're going to do everything in their power to bait it out of you. So you mainly want to try and keep this as a defense mechanism. Keep it on hand for those pesky flankers, or better yet, save it for if you know an enemy has an ultimate that's going to be coming right at you. Keep track of how long it's been since a Genji's used Dragon Blade or Reaper's used Death Blossom, for example. If you know he's going to use it, then get ready to shoot. If you hit it, then communicate to your teammates so you can get an easy kill. But also, don't be afraid to take someone on alone, because remember, Bionade does 60 damage, and if you combine that with a shot and a melee combo, that's going to do some devastating damage. But of course, I also highly recommend trying to hit tanks whenever they try to get too aggressive or they don't have their shields up. Tanks are without a doubt the easiest targets to hit, and you can really melt them if you follow up with a Bionade or coordinate with your teammates. Don't try and hit random guys across the map. It just doesn't affect the outcome of a fight. If anything, you're just going to be helping the enemy, because guess what? They know you don't have Sleep Dart now. Use it wisely. It just might keep you alive. And lastly, we have Ana's ultimate ability, Nanoboost. This ability increases the damage output of a teammate and gives them a damage reduction buff. It is super helpful as it can be used for offense or defense thanks to its properties. It really depends on the situation. In the case of offense, look to combo it with just about anything you can. Some targets are obviously better than others, so be aware of what's on your team. But let's say you have a Genji or a Soldier 76, say, hey, guess what? I have Nano. You have your ultimate. Let's do this. Let's combo ults. The effects can be devastating just with some simple communication. Or better yet, throw it on a tank who's about to go in, or maybe you want to try and get them to play aggressively. It's not a bad idea to use Nano to encourage your teammates to push forward. It can be very good at picking up the pace. On the defensive side of things, the goal is going to be to keep a teammate alive through Nano's healing and its damage reduction. If your tank's on the front line and they're low, don't hesitate to let it fly, baby. It can turn the fight in your favor almost immediately. Your teammate could find a kill, or at the very least, it might scare the enemy into backing off and giving you some nice space to breathe. But that doesn't just go for your front line. If your fellow healer's getting dove, sometimes a last resort Nano onto them could end up being the right play. They might pop off more than you think, or at bare minimum, you're going to keep that unreliable teammate of yours alive. Look carefully at what you have. If it means turning a fight, then you just cannot hesitate to use it, even if it might piss off your fellow DPS player. Lots of Ana players hold on to Nano for way too long, and if you try and be a perfectionist, you have waited for so long that you probably could have built up a second one. Come on now, I know a bunch of you watching this video have probably accidentally held on to Nano for way too long, maybe even until the end of a game because you were scared or you're waiting for the so-called right moment. Don't be that guy or girl anymore. Be aggressive. So those are some general tips and tricks regarding Ana, but that is not the only thing to focus on. Like with any support, positioning is crucial. It is often a thing that can separate a good Ana player from a great one. A very crucial step to take with Ana is to maintain line of sight. You have to shoot your teammates to keep them alive. The moment that you can't see them, it's all over. So I suggest taking high ground whenever it's feasible. It serves as a great vantage point for you as you get better vision of your surroundings. But that's not all it's good for, as you also get a lot more playmaking playmaking opportunities. Remember what I said about being aggressive? Well, here's a good chance. It can be an easy way to throw a biotic grenade above a shield, or to hit the enemy backline to help you win a fight. Or at bare minimum, maybe your teammates have an easier time engaging the enemy. However, and I really cannot stress this enough to some of you out there, you cannot get too comfortable. You gotta have good awareness in these situations. Think about what the enemy team is playing while you're up there. Do they have a Widow or something that can contest you? If so, you have to pick and choose when to peek. Don't set yourself up in an open area. Play around a corner. Use a wall as cover. Stay behind a shield even. But at the same time, you've got to make the right judgment call. Don't get too comfortable as a passive Ana player. There's too many of them out there as it is. There's such a thing as being too scared. If you hide for too long or pick a bad angle, then your team is screwed and you're not getting any value. But this also applies to yourself. If you play too far from your teammates, then flankers are going to pick you off with relative ease, which gets me into my next tip. Don't be afraid to play with your team. I know it sounds crazy getting up close and personal, but sometimes you really just have to do it. If you keep getting flanked or you're too far from your team, try playing closer to your tank player. Staying grouped up can make it a lot easier to keep your entire team nice and healthy while making sure you're not in any immediate danger. It can be scary to do this as a support player. You don't want to die. Staying alive is your #1 priority. But sometimes you have to trust in your teammates. Overwatch 2 is a team game. Get out of your comfort zone. That's how you're going to rank up. You have to be flexible and aware of what's going on. Don't settle on one playstyle or another. Be dynamic and experiment on what works best for you. Mastering Ana is not very easy. There's a lot going on with her kit, but if you can find a way to do it, I promise you that you are going to absolutely carve up the competition. But yeah, that's all I've got for you guys. That sums up a basic Ana guide for beginners and low-ranked players trying to climb the ladder. If I missed any tips or you have any pointers of your own for your fellow players, be sure to throw them down in the comments below. This is ATP from GameLeap, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.